Financial audits are kind of the bedrock of our whole economic system. We just trust them. But what happens when that bedrock starts to crack? Today, we're going to look at how one single missing document can literally cause an entire company to collapse. And then we're going to explore a really interesting question. Could a new kind of AI spot the disaster before it happens?
Okay, so let's just start with this. What if an audit, the very thing that's supposed to certify a company's health, was actually built on a lie? And I don't even mean a malicious, evil lie. I'm talking about a lie of omission, a critical piece of the puzzle that was just never there. This is the kind of thing that keeps accountants up at night. And it's exactly where our story begins.
Every CPA has a nightmare scenario. And it's not about finding fraud. It's about missing it. Missing something huge because you were never given the full picture to begin with. So let's walk through a story that illustrates this, well, perfectly.
Okay, so picture this. A CPA is auditing a big restaurant chain. They get the profit and loss statements, and honestly, everything looks pretty good. So based on that data, they sign off. Clean bill of health. But they were never given the inventory logs. So fast forward 6 months, and bam! The entire chain suddenly collapses into bankruptcy. And of course, the CPA gets sued, with the client screaming, "You told us we were healthy." So what went wrong?
This right here. This was the missing piece. A staggering 15% inventory shrinkage. Just think about that. It means for every $100 of food and drinks coming in the door, $15 was just vanishing. Could be waste, could be spoilage, could be theft. It was a fatal wound that was bleeding the company dry, and it was completely invisible on the profit and loss statements. That was the lie of omission, and it sank the entire ship.
Now, it's really easy to blame the auditor in that story. But this wasn't just one person's mistake. It's a systemic failure. See, the very tools that most auditors have to rely on are fundamentally broken when it comes to dealing with incomplete information. Let's dig into why.
And here it is. This is the core of the problem. Your standard software, something like QuickBooks, it just crunches whatever numbers you give it. There are no real data quality checks. Then you have something like Xero, which might give you a vague, kind of unhelpful warning. And now, generic AI is almost more dangerous because when it finds a data gap, it often hallucinates. It literally just invents an answer to fill the void. In every one of these cases, the auditor is left flying blind.
So, if the old tools are broken, what's the answer? Well, this brings us to a new approach, and it's called the Forensic Intelligence Protocol, or FIP for short. It's a system designed not just to analyze the data you have, but to actually understand the data you don't have.
And really, the goal is right there in the tagline, insight beyond the balance sheet. The whole idea is to move past a simple summary of numbers and get into a much deeper, almost forensic understanding of a business's true health, including its hidden vulnerabilities.
So here's the crucial part. FIP does 3 things that traditional tools just can't. First, it analyzes the data. That's standard stuff. But then it quantifies the reliability of that analysis. And third, and this is the most important part, it specifically identifies what information is missing. It literally highlights the blind spots for you.
All right, so that's the what. But how does it actually do all this? Let's take a look inside the protocol's forensic lab to see this system in action. Under the hood, it's using machine learning to cross-reference thousands of data points against industry benchmarks, constantly looking for anomalies and inconsistencies, the little things that signal a piece of the story is missing.
And this is the command center, the master lab aggregator. So let's go back to that restaurant chain. Instead of drowning in spreadsheets, the auditor sees this, a fleet intelligence dashboard. Every single location is visible at a glance, with these simple, color-coded health scores. Outliers and problem spots? You don't have to hunt for them, they jump right off the screen. Now from that big picture view, we can zoom right into a single business with what's called the Forensic Forecasting Lab. And this is where the system gets predictive. It moves way beyond past performance to actually stress test the company against potential disasters, running simulations for scenarios like, what if sales suddenly drop? Or what if our costs spike?
And this shows you exactly the kind of output you get. This isn't a maybe. This is a specific simulated scenario called the squeeze, a total double whammy, where your bills go up and sales go down. And the system's prediction is stark, and it is terrifyingly specific. Liquidity collapse. In other words, the business runs out of cash. And here's the kicker. It tells you when. 1 month.
That is the estimated survival time under those conditions. I mean, think about the power of that. You've gone from an auditor saying, well, the margins look good, to saying, hey, if this specific thing happens, you have 30 days until you are out of business. Now that is actionable intelligence.
So this level of insight, it really changes the very nature of an audit. It's no longer just a simple pass-fail grade. It's about creating a whole new standard for trust by actually quantifying the level of confidence we can have in the financial data itself.
It does this with what it calls an honesty toolkit. You've got the confidence lattice, which is basically a map that shows where your data is strong or weak. There's a verdict stability score, which boils reliability down to a single number. You get a data coverage playbook that creates a literal to-do list for the client, pointing out exactly what's missing, and it's all backed by an AI honesty clause.
And that honesty clause, it sounds like this. It's a statement of radical transparency. It lets an auditor finally say, look, based on what you gave me, I'm 95% confident about your cash flow, but your operational data, it's only 67% complete, so I can't sign off on it. Here is exactly why, and here's exactly what you need to give me to fix it. It just completely changes the entire conversation.
So what does this all mean for the accountants who are always caught in the middle? Well, it gives them a shield and a sword. A way to protect themselves from liability by clearly stating the limits of their analysis, and a way to deliver a vastly more valuable, verifiable, and trustworthy service to their clients.
And the way it's implemented is designed to be pretty seamless for CPA firms. It's a white label service. So for a flat fee per audit, a firm can run its data through the protocol, get a branded report back in 48 hours, and then present these powerful insights as their own. It's really designed to integrate, not replace.
Which leaves us with a final massive question. For decades, the rule in data analysis has always been garbage in, garbage out, right? If you start with bad or incomplete data, you're going to get a useless result. But a system that can not only recognize the garbage, but can quantify its impact and provide a roadmap to fix it, could this finally be the end of that era for financial audits? Now that's something we're thinking about.